Yes, sir. Back at it, Sports Time Zone. Once again, yours truly, brother Numsi. Got my man Time Zone Dave back in the building.
That
Salute,
word,
brother.
baby. Yes, sir. We back.
We back in effect. Yo, everybody out there who's showing love, y'all continue to show love. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like, that share, that subscribe, all of that. Show some love to the boys out here. We trying to do our thing. Salute also to everybody in the comments who've been supporting, all of the new subscribers. We see y'all out there as well. So
Yes,
everybody
sir.
who's been continuing to support, y'all just continue to show that love. And we're going to keep on bringing y'all fire content. Once again, salute to KE Creations. If y'all looking for digital graphic designs or whatever, holla. If y'all looking for some digital designs for your logos or for anything that go on a computer, holla at my man Gene Hennigan. Get at me. I'll put you in contact with him and we'll get it rolling. But today's show, it's going to be fire. We got a dope show. We had some fire NFL games over the weekend. We're going to get into that. We're going to touch on some NBA action. We're going to talk about a little bit of some jersey retirements. We're going to talk about the history. We're doing it all today. So
For the ones that want to know, this is not a fire drill. This is the real thing.
the real thing.
It's the real thing. We're running Oopsie. Yes, sir.
No fire drill. Y'all heard my man Time Zone Dave. We in here. So, yo, Dave, let's just get it lit right away. Let's jump right into the bag. Man, I know you were watching them games over the weekend because I was texting you. You was texting me back.
Yes, sir.
It was wild. Let's start off with that Ravens and the Texans. The Baltimore Ravens took care of the Texans. They beat them boys down 34-10. Lamar was balanced. He was in his bag, passing the ball, running the ball, the whole 9 yards, man. What was your perception of that game? How was you feeling that game?
I had Ravens coming into the game. The Texans was coming off a high game off against Cleveland. I'm like, okay, this should be a little kind of close, or at least the first half. See how CJ come out, how they play. But Lamar just wasn't going. I mean, Lamar was doing everything, running, passing. I mean, getting his teammates involved because the game was close the first quarter, and then that momentum carried away, and Lamar started running. They couldn't do nothing with it.
I think at some point, Baltimore remembered who they was and why they got where they was at, because they did turn up, like you said. It started off close, but the way that it turned out, I mean, looking at Lamar's numbers, I mean, it was straight balance. 16 for 22. He had 152 yards passing with 2 touchdowns passing. And then on the ground, Lamar, he carried the ball 11 times for a hundo. He hit a hundo on the ground rushing with 2 touchdowns on the ground too. This was an all-around, just in the bag performance by Lamar. It was all about Lamar, man. He forced the defense to retreat to everything and react to everything that he did. He spread it out, the love. It was 8 different receivers that he hit. 8 different receivers that he actually threw the ball to. So when he's spreading it out like that and he's mixing it up and he got the defense guessing, is he going to take off? Is he just going to sit there and throw the ball? That's a horrible, that's a scary place for a defensive back to be, trying to figure out what Lamar is going to do. So in his bag. But the Texans, I ain't going to front, man. They have a nice future. I like what I saw, at least from them boys getting that as far as they got. Nobody even thought they would make it that far. And salute to CJ. I mean, he did his thing just getting that far.
CJ, Ohio State boys, yes, sir.
Ohio State in the building.
For the game.
Ohio State, man. I also think that running back Singletary and Nico Collins, they gonna be those guys when they develop into who they actually are gonna be. They're gonna be really, really good assets to that team. So I see the Texans doing big things in the next couple years. Probably next year they might be back where they was.
Yeah,
you never know. You never know when it comes to that.
We'll be getting better.
That game wasn't that hard to predict because Baltimore was an overwhelming favorite in that game. Now the next game, not so much. The 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. Now, this was the one game that I got wrong because I did predict that your boy Jordan Love and Green Bay was going to come in there and play upset and upset the San Francisco 49ers, but it not happened that way.
We both 1-1 on the predictions. We both got one L right now.
We 1-1. We going neck to neck now. But now in my defense, this one was close. This one was 24-21. I know you said, that San Francisco walked them boys down at the end of the game, but the way I saw it, Jordan Love had a chance to win that game, even with the missed field goal that came late in the game, because that missed field goal really hurt Green Bay. Cool. But even with that, Jordan Love had a chance at the end to kind of win the game. But he made some really bad throws down the stretch. I ain't gonna front. Like he overthrew a couple of receivers, and then he threw behind a couple of receivers.
That's that nervousness. When they get down to that moment, these players, they tighten up. They got to understand that moment.
I will give you that. That's for sure. He definitely showed the nervousness in that kind of moment. I think with a little bit more experience, eventually he gonna turn up a little bit more. He may not make those same mistakes putting in that same position if it comes about next year. But let's talk about your boy Brock Purdy though. Brock Purdy, his numbers weren't all of that crazy great. He had 252 passing yards. He did have that and 1 touchdown. But Christian McCaffrey was that dude. Because Christian McCaffrey had 130 all-purpose yards. He was the reason to me that they won. I think it was Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, I don't, and I will admit, during the season, I was hating on McCaffrey a little bit because everybody was trying to say he was a better offensive player than Tyreek Hill, which I still feel like Tyreek Hill is a better offensive player. But the level that he elevates his game to and must win. I'm speaking about McCaffrey. He has the ability to turn it up. There was a couple of those drives where you could just see in his eyes, he was determined to take the ball into the end zone. Like the defenders for Green Bay were bouncing off of him. He was cutting back. He was knocking dudes off, shoulder shrugging them. McCaffrey was definitely showing why he was in that MVP conversation. So I gotta be the first person to salute to Christian McCaffrey and apologize for some of the hate that I was throwing his way this year, because he definitely balled out. I think he's very important to that team, especially with Debo going out. So
I feel like that was big going back to last year when they traded for him, because Christian McCaffrey was already doing that in Carolina.
He was.
Like, he's been like that. So like when he finally got traded, went to San Francisco, that was big for him, and so we see where they are now.
Yeah, we definitely see that. Now, a big part of that is because Debo went out, I believe, a little bit before the first half ended. So I think the 49ers game plan was definitely to get the ball to Christian McCaffrey. At that point, because with Debo out, Christian McCaffrey's got to be the guy. And he took it upon himself. It was like a personal challenge for him to step in and like elevate his game. And to see him do that from the running back position, that's almost unspeakable and unheard of. So shout out again to Christian McCaffrey. They definitely deserve that. So they're moving on to the next round. Next game that was on the slate was Detroit Lions.
Yes,
what up, Doe?
Lions 3-1-3.
Yeah, they took care of the Bucks, man. What was your thoughts on that game? That Detroit and the Bucks.
The Lions played a great game. I'm like, it was a good game. They ran the ball, they threw the ball, and the options that Jared Goff had just to like lay it out on every receiver. You got Laporta right here, and then you got St. Brown catching his couple passes.
It was nice. You got
the running game going. Like, it was a mixed flow of both. So like, I feel like Tampa Bay couldn't handle both.
It was very nice. They mixed it up. Salute to Dan Campbell, also Coach Campbell. He had it seems like every week he has those boys ready. Like I have not seen them in a situation where they never look unprepared. That's the better word I'm looking for. Goff, speaking of who you were speaking of, he almost cracked 300 passing yards. He was at 287 with 2 touchdowns. Your boy St. Brown had 77 yards receiving and a touchdown. So again, the offense was clicking. And they put up 31 points. The final score was 31-23, Detroit over the Bucks. On the flip side, however, Baker Mayfield, I ain't gonna lie, Baker Mayfield was looking good for at least the three quarters out of that game.
Yeah.
He finished with 349. He was 50 yards away from 400 on the passing yards with 3 touchdowns. But the key, he had 2 picks. One of them was huge. One of those picks were huge, and that sealed
one of them sent him home. That last pick was the dagger.
That was the dagger. It was the dagger because the game was tied going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Going into the fourth quarter, the game was tied. I mean, it was very close, highly contested game. Byron Leftwich called an excellent game for Baker. I mean, he was calling that game. That's why I was saying I really feel like Byron Leftwich at some point should get a head coaching opportunity somewhere because he's been calling great games for Tampa over the last few years. Even before the Tom Brady came in, he was doing his thing. And then now with Baker Mayfield, if he can make Baker Mayfield look that good, imagine what he can do for, one of the premier quarterbacks in the league. So Byron Leftwich, he called a really, really good game, but it just wasn't enough.
That's offensive coordinator, right?
He's the OC. Yep. He's the OC for Tampa. And like I said, but it was just too much. Detroit, the energy, the atmosphere in that building, and the way that defense stood up and kind of locked in and sealed the deal with that pick at the end of the game. I can't take nothing from Detroit. So just like I was saying earlier in the season, this just feels like a year of destiny for Detroit. This feels like I know you laughing because everybody laughed when I say
crazy.
That. Everybody, but
it's crazy how they still in this position right now. Like the story of Detroit, like they top 4 in the NFL playoffs. 2 home games they won, and now they 1 win away from the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's crazy. And then the way the stars line up, Michigan just won the championship. Now you got the Detroit Lions in there, with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. It's just all lining up for the state of Michigan and specifically Detroit. So, with that
1-3.
I'm really happy for them boys. I'm happy for them. I got a lot of people's up in the D. So salute to all of y'all. Y'all deserve it. Y'all definitely deserve it. So I'm excited to see what happens in the next round. Detroit moves on to the next round. Bucks, they got some decisions to make. I don't know if they're going to keep Baker or what they're going to do there, but we'll see what happens with them next year. They had a really good season too, just to even get this far. Moving on to the next game. This to me was the game of the weekend. The Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's go!
I see you over there. Took care of the Buffalo Bills 27-24. That was a heavyweight slugfest. That was a heavyweight shootout slugfest. It went down to the wire. Excellent game. Just the numbers at a real quick glance, and I'm gonna let you go in on this one because I know you've been riding with Kansas City for quite some time. So I'm gonna give you your props on that. But Pat Mahomes, 17 for 23. 215 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. 0 turnovers with a stat line like that in your opponent's building. In a place like Buffalo, in a big game like this, Pat Mahomes is cool as the other side of the pillow, coming there carving them boys up with 0 turnovers. Salute to Patrick Mahomes boy, as my man Shannon Sharp would call him, Pat Mahomes boy. Oh, but let's not forget your boy Pacheco. Pacheco in that game was playing possessed like he always is. My man was aggressive. 15 carries, but 97 yards. He almost hit a buck. And that it was just all cylinders were clicking. The fourth quarter, Kansas City's defense locked in and locked down. Josh Allen made
defense play like
Josh Allen. He made a crucial underthrow late in the game in the fourth, and then he missed the wide receiver that might have cost Buffalo the game. But taking nothing away from Kansas City, those boys played an excellent game. What was your thoughts on that Kansas City victory over Buffalo?
I feel like Kansas City played the best game they have all year. Defense was there. There was no penalties. They were solid. They were blocking. Receivers were open. They got the run game going. Got Pacheco going. Like everything was clicking. Kelsey, big plays, big
Kelsey,
touchdowns.
yeah, Kelsey. I failed to mention, yeah, Travis Kelsey did his thing too, because he even came in and I believe he had 2 touchdowns on 75 yards receiving. So yeah, it was clicking. Andy Reid was calling him. It was a good overall performance for Kansas City and a feel-good win. Them boys was trying to throw snowballs at Pat Mahomes after the game, though. I don't know if you've seen that.
They're sick about it. They sick they going home. It's okay. It's okay. You play one of the greats.
Hey, that Buffalo crowd, man. Yo, that them boys is dirty. But I'm glad that Pat Mahomes sent them home, because everybody know I do not like Buffalo Bills. I can't stand them boys. So I'm glad that y'all were able to send them packing. Salute to all of y'all Kansas City boys. So now with all those games out the way, now we shape up for the final 4 teams that are left in the playoffs. So this coming weekend is going to be huge. This is like the final 4 of the NFL. We got Baltimore versus Kansas City, and then we got Detroit versus San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to throw mine out there first, and then you give me yours. But I got Baltimore over Kansas City. Reason being, I know, but hear me out on this. Baltimore right now is clicking. Them boys is on every cylinder, just like you were saying with Kansas City, they was clicking. And I know Kansas City is back now. That we haven't seen that Kansas City in a while, and they look really good. But this Baltimore team that has been rested, that has like everybody healthy pretty much, except for like, I don't know, maybe the tight end or somebody. I'm not sure who it is who is injured for Baltimore, but Baltimore right now is playing at a high level. And that Lamar Jackson that we saw is a very, very hard Lamar Jackson to play against. Your corners can only defend the receivers for so long, while Lamar is dancing around in the pocket trying to figure out if he's going to thread it or if he's going to take off. Right. That's going to put y'all boys in a really, really rough position. I think it's going to be too much of that, and I got Baltimore over Kansas City in that game. Who you got?
Ooh. This is very tough, because these were 2 of my favorite players, 2 of my favorite teams in the league, 2 people I like to watch and see how they go out there and just grind it and get it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm rocking with my boy, my homeboy first, though.
I knew it. I knew you.
I gotta go to the Chiefs first, just because of who they are and what Patrick Mahomes can do. Now, I'm not taking nothing away from the Ravens if they pull it out and win. Now, it's gonna be tough, but I think they can do it. In Baltimore.
For Kansas City to win this game, not only do they have to contain Lamar, but Patrick Mahomes has to be that Patrick Mahomes we just saw last week too. He's got to play almost a 0 turnover game, because one thing Baltimore does do is if they turn you over, they score off those turnovers. So it'll be really tough if Patrick Mahomes doesn't have that type of game, which he's a defending Super Bowl champion. So I expect Patrick Mahomes to play at a high level. Yeah. But that boy Lamar's he's from South Florida. He's a hometown boy. And I expect Lamar to be the same Lamar that he's been throughout these playoffs and throughout the season, really. So we got to see how that turns out.
He's scary.
He's very scary. But then again, so is Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes gets out of that pocket, he's not the easiest quarterback to bring down either. So this should be a really good game. Again, I like Baltimore to win it, but honestly,
it's gonna be high scoring too.
I was gonna say they're gonna put up numbers. That game could go either way, but I do like Baltimore. Moving to the other game in the NFC, for the NFC Championship, we got Detroit going into San Francisco. Now, for me, I look at the fact that Detroit is on this magical ride right now, and they find ways to gut out wins. They win close games. They win high-scoring games. They win blowout games. They're winning in every type of way that you can win a game. And again, Coach Dan Campbell has those boys prepared.
Prepared, ready, yes.
Going into San Francisco, where the weather is going to be perfect. I know Detroit plays in a dome, so when they go and play on outdoor fields, sometimes there may be a struggle there. But they're playing in a place where the weather's going to be beautiful. And nobody in that stadium in San Francisco believes that Detroit can win. Actually, I was watching some of the networks today, and nobody has Detroit winning this game, except for maybe one on-air personality that I saw that picked Detroit. Everybody else is picking San Francisco, and they're saying it's not even going to be close. For that reason,
it can be, and depending on, there's a huge it factor right now as we speak from now going into the game. What's going to happen with Debo? They said he's 50-50, so there's a chance if he doesn't play, they could look the same as they did versus Packers or better, even without him. So that's tough.
Good point. I'm gonna say this though: if Debo don't play, I got Detroit winning this one easily. If Debo don't play,
yeah,
I got Detroit winning this one easily. Even with Debo, he will be compromised because I don't think he will be 100%. And Debo is a very physical player. He takes contact. He runs defenders over. That's kind of why they called him Debo. That's where he got the name from. But with him being compromised and not 100% at this level or this stage of the season, I think it might be too much. And the way that Detroit is playing right now and the way they believe in themselves right now, they got the whole city behind them, the way they're coached, it's just feeling like this is their year. So I'm not going to jump off the Detroit train right now. I got Detroit over San Francisco in this game. Who you got? Yeah, it's a tough one, huh? Yeah, you got it. Yeah. They're not so easy to predict once we get to this round.
Right. I don't know. I don't want to go against my hometown, but
you got a lot of people in Detroit watching. We got a lot of viewers from the D that watch this show. So keep that in mind when you make your prediction.
Me and my friend constantly have arguments over this every single day of how I see the city of Detroit versus San Francisco. Now,
it sound like you want to go with San Francisco. And I'm just telling you how it sounds to me and how the people watching are probably viewing this like, yeah, he want to go for it's right there. Just go ahead and say it. I don't know. Like, you want to go. You believe San Francisco is going to win this game. Go on and say it.
I don't want to hate on the city of Detroit. I don't want to rain on a parade. I want to see them in the Super Bowl, but it's just a fact of who they're playing in the big game, especially on the road.
Like San Fran has been the best team in the NFC all year for the most part.
It plays a factor, but I'm gonna go Detroit.
I'm gonna go Detroit. That's what I'm talking about. What up,
man? Let's do it.
Yo, that's what's up. Man. That's what's up. I'm definitely feeling that one, man. That's the one that we agree on. We disagree on the first game between Baltimore and Kansas City, but that could go either way. So we're gonna see how that turns out when the time comes, when it's time for us to review this next week. We're gonna look back on this. So we got receipts. Everybody out there watching, keep these receipts because what we say is stamped. So y'all know what it is. Now, let's switch gears a little bit to the NBA. The NBA season is in full effect right now. We are a few weeks away from All-Star time, so we're almost about at that halfway point of the season. So we wanted to do a little quick check-in just to see where the teams are standing right now, how they looking, what we think as far as playoff predictions, play-in predictions, and just how each team is looking so far. So right now in the East, we got the top 6 teams in the East. The number 1 team in the East right now is the Boston Celtics. Not the biggest Celtics fan, as you can see, but salute to the Celtics, man, because they look really good. Those boys are 33-10 right now, and I think they've only lost 1 game in their division this whole season. So they made big additions, Porzingis and Jrue Holiday, and those guys have been huge. When they first traded away Marcus Smart, I thought that they were going to be a defensive just basically a doormat on defense because he was the heart and soul of their defense. He was actually the one who made them boys play defense. But with Jrue Holiday coming in, they almost don't miss a beat on defense because Jrue Holiday is a big guard. He's a guard that's the size of some small forwards in the league. So he plays that chest defense, and he keeps the opposing team from being able to just run up and down the court. Porzingis, he's one of the best stretch bigs that I've ever seen. I mean, 7 foot, what is he, 7'3"? It's like he's a 7 foot. 7 something, and he shoots the three just like with ease, knocks him down, excellent free throw shooter. He can shoot the ball. So, yeah, man, Boston right now, they are clicking. They're looking good.
You know, I ain't gonna speak too much on Boston. I like them, but I'm not rooting for them just because of the past years. And
yeah,
it's tough right now.
I feel the same way, brother. Trust me. But I have a lot of bitter history with Boston and the Celtic fan base, the Celtic team, or whatever. I'll get into that a little bit later, but I feel you. That's all we're going to say about Boston. We ain't going to say too much about Boston because y'all number one, and y'all the best team in the league in the Eastern Conference right now. So that's it.
All you Boston fans, just go ahead and just sit back. You know what I'm saying? Just take your time.
They on cruise control right now. So let's leave them boys where they at. Number 2 team in the East is the Milwaukee Bucks. Fear the deer. I see you. Yes, you rolling with the Bucks. That's your squad. Right now, those boys are 29-13. Dame Dollar and Giannis are finally starting to find their chemistry. Over these last few games I've been watching, those boys have been turning up together. Like, it was hard. At first, you would see Giannis turn up in some games, but then Dame would be kind of lukewarm. But now they're both turning up, and I'm seeing them boys both drop 30+ in the same game. My only question about Milwaukee is their defense. Yeah, I question their defense, and because if they score like 125 points, the other team scores 115. You can't continue to let teams score at ease like that. At some point, you got to defend somebody. You got to stop somebody. So I don't take anything away from Milwaukee. Your squad, they look good, but y'all got to figure out that defense. Because that defense is what it actually is going to propel you in the playoffs. You can have a dope offense and run through the regular season, but when you get to the playoffs, you better learn how to play some defense and stop somebody. You got to get stops. You have to get stops in the playoffs.
One more wing defender out there to guard those big perimeter guards, some small forwards and point guards. We get that, we're fine. And as long as we get at least timely stops when it matters, I'm not tripping. Because who gonna stop Dame and Giannis when they putting up 40 apiece?
Y'all boys got Dame. Y'all got Giannis. You have a 7-foot Brook Lopez. You have Chris Middleton, who's like a
Bobby Portis. And we got a shooter.
What more do y'all need? You talking about y'all need another wing? Y'all just need the boys y'all got to play defense. Y'all don't need no more. Yo, who else do y'all need? You got enough. You already have enough. Our best
wing defender is Jay Crowder, and he just came back off injury, so he's not really 100%.
Jay Crowder.
He's our best wing defender right now, and he's not even all the way there. So I think if we can get a trade in the trade deadline, maybe get 1 or 2 more pieces, that's going to solidify our defense for sure.
I honestly don't, man. If y'all get somebody else,
I believe we will, though. We're going to.
That's kind of ridiculous. Like, how much do y'all need when you already have Giannis, Dame, the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost?
Defensive trade, defensive up trade. That's how I see it.
Well, you got to give some to get something, and y'all had a really good defender in Jrue Holiday, and y'all gave him up in exchange for offense. So, I don't know. When I look at the roster for Milwaukee Bucks, I look and see that y'all have, there's Giannis, there's Thanasis. We ain't talking about him. Pat Connaughton, he's an offensive player. Jay Crowder, as you saying, he's the only your best wing defender. The Lopez brothers. Cameron Payne, Bobby Portis. So yeah, I guess when I look at your roster, you don't really have the greatest defenders in the world, but sometimes all it takes is a couple of stops.
But I know we do have those two big guys in the interior, Lopez, and then we got Giannis on the help. So we got the bigs right there.
Y'all got the big. Y'all have a very your team. The team overall is just a long, big. It's a big team. Like y'all got size pretty much at every position. So defense, honestly, I'm kind of baffled that y'all's defense is as bad as it is. But anyway, y'all are the number 2 team in the East. So
and one more point, we have a first head coach. He's coaching his first year as a head coach.
First year head coach.
Gotta give Griff some time. Shout out to you, Griff. I still believe in you.
Salute to Griff.
Some time in his first year because we gonna do this, man.
Salute to Griff. Yeah, Milwaukee's looking real good. I'm still kind of bitter about the whole Dame thing. Like Pat Riley dropped the ball this offseason. We were supposed to get Dame. He said he wanted to come to Miami. Everybody in the world knew he wanted to come to Miami, but Portland did not want anything that we had to offer.
I didn't agree with that in the first place. I said, at all the places you want to go to Miami, they still wasn't gonna do nothing with if they had Dame.
That's all we was missing.
He came to the right side, and he was already a fan of Giannis.
That's all we was missing, though, is a good point guard. But you know what? Y'all got Dame, so I'm gonna stand down on that. Moving along, the Philadelphia 76ers right now. Those boys are the number 3 team in the East. They've won 5 games in a row. Their record is 28-13. Embiid is in his bag. He's taking no games off. He realizes, I think what I'm seeing in Embiid is now that he realizes that the knock on him is that he's never made it to the finals and that he's puts up all of these dope regular season numbers, but he never does shit in the playoffs and never gets anywhere. But I'm seeing something in Embiid this year that makes me believe this is going to be different. I really see these boys making a very deep playoff run. Maxey is playing out of his mind this season, almost all-star level. I could say that Maxey is playing close to all-star level, but Embiid is definitely doing his thing, and he looks determined that he wants to take this team deep into the playoffs. What's your thoughts on Philly so far from what you've seen from them?
Philly is a wild card. I still don't think they have enough. You
don't think they have enough with who Philly has on their roster?
No, not when it comes down to the playoffs.
Well, I mean, they play defense.
Going to slow down.
Okay.
And Embiid, even if him and Maxey get 30, 35 apiece, I don't think it's enough. Now they have a big X factor with Tobias Harris and Kelly Oubre and guys like that to fill that third role because Maxey and Embiid can't do it alone. So I think they need some more. And they haven't been to the Eastern Conference Finals. Joel Embiid has been eliminated in the second round. The last
about them is defensively. They have a really good defensive team. Like when you look at we all know Joel Embiid. He averages like 2 blocks a game. He's a defensive juggernaut as well as offense. Pat Beverly was a huge pickup for them. Pat Beverly was huge, and people overlooked that pickup. But if you look at it last year, they didn't have anybody remotely close to a Pat Beverly as far as defense. They got tore up by the guards for the other team. The opposing guards used to tear them up last season when they played against Boston, and Marcus Smart was tearing them up, and Jaylen Brown and those other boys on the perimeter. They had no perimeter defenders, but now with Pat Beverly, Nick Batum is a good spot shooter. I also like that young kid KJ Martin. Tyrese Maxey is playing much better defense, and Kelly Oubre, he can play some D as well. So, yeah, I think they might have enough. They have a pretty good team as far as the East. Now, they don't have what you would consider a super team where they need to have that third leading scorer. They don't have that. But I think with Embiid and Maxey, along with the defenders that they have, I think that might be good enough. That might be good enough for them. So I like what I'm seeing from Philly. We just got to kind of see how they play out the season and see how if they stay healthy or not. Health is always the key with with
One
Philly.
thing about Joel Embiid, I would say he is taking a different approach from the last 2 seasons to this year. He's playing more.
Yeah.
And he said he doesn't care about MVP now. Like, he'd rather be healthy and build towards the playoffs and more.
Exactly. That's why, yep, that's what I was alluding to, where he's saying he's realized now that it's not about the, MVP and no more. He don't care about that. He wants to win a championship. That's what's going to solidify his legacy. He just watched Joker win a championship, so, and then win an MVP. So it almost was like Joel winning that MVP last year didn't mean anything to him once he watched Joker win the finals. So now he's like, he realizes, in order for me to be spoken of in this high regard with some of the all-time greats, he wants to be in that conversation. He needs to win a championship. He at least needs to get to the finals. He ain't even been to the finals before, so he at least needs to do that. So salute to Philly.
Eastern Conference Finals. He ain't did that.
Yeah, he ain't even got that far. So this year looks different, though. This year looks different. So we'll see what happens there. Cleveland, the Cleveland Cavs, right now they are hot. Those boys won 7 games in a row, and they're 25-15. Donovan Mitchell, he is playing well with those young pieces that they have around him, which is kind of the only all-star on that team. And those boys are right now in a position where we've won 7 games in a row. Like, I don't know if this is just right now and then later on they're going to turn into a pumpkin later, but right now I'm shocked that Cleveland is actually looking really good, and I didn't expect them to come out the gates this good so far.
Cleveland's been in that pack, middle pack, I would say pretty much the whole year. They're around 4 or 5. They've been switching back and forth. They have been healthy at times, and times they've been not healthy. They still missing Darius Garland.
Yeah, that is true.
But Donovan Mitchell has been carrying the load, and he's been getting it done.
He has. I mean, I don't know.
I can see the Cavs beating at least like 2 teams, maybe the Knicks, maybe Toronto, maybe around that 4, 5, 6 area.
So you see
and beat Indiana. I think they could beat Indiana as well.
I do think they can beat Indy as well. I could see Cleveland staying in that top 4, top 4 or 5 area. I don't see them really, especially playing the way they are. And Donovan Mitchell is special. He's a special player that can propel a team, to whatever unlimited heights. So we keep an eye out on Cleveland and see how they do too with the rest of the season. The New York Knicks right now hold down that number 5 spot, and they are 26-17. And since that trade where they got OG Anunoby and sent away RJ Barrett and sent away the other Emmanuel Quickly, they have been playing really good. They look real good. And, the Knicks are a rival for my Heat. So I don't like to see them playing this well because it kind of, scares me a little bit to see what they're going to look like in the playoffs. But I still feel like they gave away a lot of offense. And when the playoffs start, who is going to be their 3-point shooters? They don't really have a notable 3-point shooter that is just going to knock down a shot every single time they get the ball. So, yeah, they're better defensively. On the defensive side of the ball, they got better since this trade. But in the playoffs, just as important defense is, so is 3-point shooting. You have to have 3-point shooters in the playoffs. It's like the equalizer. It's the great neutralizer that kind of neutralizes whatever the other team is doing. If you can stretch the floor, penetrate like Jalen Brunson loves to penetrate and kick out, that's part of his game. But when you penetrate and you kick out and don't have shooters, that may come to bite them. So I don't know. I know Coach Tibbs likes defense, but I think they're gonna miss those shooters that they let go.
And I also feel that Julius Randle is an X factor for them as well.
Always.
What Jalen Brunson is going to do we know what Anobi Mike can do.
Yeah, but your boy Julius.
It's going to be Julius because in the last couple years he hasn't been there for them, and the Knicks been first round or go home pretty
We
much.
took care of them last season. Honestly, I think we should have swept them boys, but they, Jimmy Butler, he missed one of them games with his ankle. And then, we gave the New York Knicks that opportunity to make a series out of it. But, we ended up still taking care of them boys. So, but again, the Knicks look really good right now. The Knicks look good with their new team. I mean, with the new acquisitions that they made. So we just got to kind of see. As far as when the playoffs come around, I see them staying somewhere in that realm, somewhere around 5, 6-ish.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to move up higher than that.
Yeah, I don't think I don't see them knocking off Cleveland, Philly, Boston, or Milwaukee to get into that top 4. I just don't see that. Mm-hmm. Pulling up the rear, the 6th seed right now in the final guaranteed playoff spot in the East is right now actually tied between my Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers, who just recently acquired Pascal Siakam. Both teams are 24-19. Just to be real and keep it a buck, my Heat right now, they look unimpressive and small. We need to make a move. We need to make a deal to get some more size. I think we're relying too much on Bam being an undersized center. Mm-hmm. We're putting too much on Jimmy Butler for trying to have to carry the load at this stage of his career. And Tyler Hero is way too inconsistent for my liking, and his defense is not what I would like to see. Duncan Robinson, his contract is ridiculous for somebody who really only does one or two things. I'm in disarray right now. Kyle Lowry, he's on the trading block right now. We trying to move him. So right now, I don't know, man. Pat Riley, I feel like this whole run it back mentality. Oh, we got to the NBA finals with this team. So why would we want to make any trades? Because the league changes every year. Mm-hmm. From year to year, everybody's getting better. Milwaukee has gotten better. Boston has gotten better. Philly looks better. The New York Knicks have gotten better. Every team that has been competition for us in the East has gotten better, and we keep rolling out this same funky lineup that we rolled out last year, that we rolled out. Now, yes, we overachieved. We did things that nobody predicted we would do. Nobody predicted we was going to get to the finals last year with the squad we got. But that's the ceiling. And as Michael Jordan said, the ceiling is the roof, whatever that means. But we need to get somebody else in there. I really feel like we need either a legit scoring point guard or we need a legit true big man. We need some more size because we are an undersized team, and I can't remember the last time an undersized team ever won the NBA championship. I can't think of
y'all need both. Y'all need a guard and y'all need
a big man. A legit big.
Bam to that 4.
To the 4. Thank you.
More and not have to really be that 5 that he's not really is.
He's not a 5. Like we forcing him to play the 5, but he's not. Mm-hmm. He needs to play the 4. So if we can come with a legit 7-foot big that's good enough to start next to Bam, I think we'll be okay. But until that happens, I'm unimpressed. I love y'all, Heat Nation. Y'all my squad was 305 till I die. But until we pull off some kind of deal to make us bigger, I ain't feeling the squad right now. I'm not feeling it.
What do you see? Y'all gonna fall into that play-in? Y'all gonna make that 6 at least?
The way it's looking now, I got to see a little more from Indiana. Indiana with Pascal Siakam, I got to see how they look. Mm-hmm. But for the way I'm predicting it, we might end up in the play-in again, just like we did last year. Remember, we were in the play-in last year and went from the play-in tournament all the way to the NBA Finals. That's pretty hard to do. But I don't think that we can do that again. So if we don't get maintain this top 6 seed, we might be in trouble. If we fall into that play-in and have to battle it out with any of those bottom 3 teams, we might have an issue on our hands. Indiana right now, again, I don't know too much about them because I haven't seen their new pieces together. I need to see how Halliburton plays with Siakam. I need to see how all of the pieces fit together
Right
on
now,
that
they have
team
like
for me to make a real
one
assessment.
game together. Since
Yeah,
because
they just really had one
Halliburton
game.
was injured when they traded for Siakam, so they haven't really played games together yet. So we'll see how
Yeah.
that matches together.
So we got some time to kind of see how they play out. But right now, that's how it looks. The Miami Heat and Indy are tied for that 6th seed and the last guaranteed spot in the Eastern. Now, as far as the play-in teams, we're looking at Orlando, Chicago, and Atlanta.
Atlanta gave y'all boys the business last night.
Oh my gosh. Did they ever? They ran it up on us. They ran it up on us. And I like I said, it was depressing to watch. I was unimpressed. I kept flipping back to the NFL game. So I would switch back and then look and check the score for the Heat. And I'm like, oh Lord, we still getting beat down. So I would change back to the NFL playoff game. And then I would just go back just to peek. And then at one point, I just stopped going back to the game and stopped looking because it was bad, man. We got the business.
Fourth quarter came around, first 2-3 minutes.
Yeah,
the game was right there. It was over.
It was done for. Out of those 3 teams, Orlando, Chicago, and Atlanta, the team that I see the most likely to get that to get that play in or move on from the play in, I like Orlando. I like they got a young team. They have a young, tall, athletic team. That kid, Paolo Banchero, the rookie, that kid is the truth, man. He's really, really good.
Paolo's a dog.
Yeah, then they got that big boy Isaac down there. They've got who is it? Suggs, Jalen Suggs.
So they got guards too. They got
guards. Orlando, they've been stockpiling their young players and these draft pick players that they've been having, and now they have a really good looking young team.
Shout out to their coach as well. I feel like he's one of the top coaches right now, like in terms of bringing teams up. He's very underrated right now. I feel like he's like could be in that coach of the year discussion. What he did,
he should be. He should definitely be in that in the discussion at the very least.
Jamal Mosley is his name.
Yeah, for him to be able to coach that amount of young players, because these are young players. I don't know that they have anybody on their team that's over 25. Honestly, everybody on their team is like
about 23 and younger.
Yeah, the whole squad. So again, salute to Coach Mosley for being able to put that talent together and have them in a play-in position right now. To even have them there, that's a big shout out to coaching on that. Shifting over to the Western Conference.
This is the most loaded conference. Like the West has ran the lead the last 5 years. Like every year is tight. Some teams don't make it. It'd be hard.
There's always teams that get snubbed at the end of the West. Some of the worst teams in the West could take it to some of those mid-level teams in the East. Like I could see like a team a play-in team right now for the West could easily handle a 5, a 6, or possibly a 4 seed in the East relatively easily, in my opinion. Let's just start from the top to bottom. The Minnesota Timberwolves right now are the best team in the West. They are number 1 in the West, and they have been consistent. When I say consistent, these boys have been so consistent. They finally have everything clicking. They got Ant Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and Rudy all together, all playing good at the same time. This the first time ever Karl Anthony Towns is getting single covered because there's Anthony Edwards out there. You can't come and double as much. All his career, Cat was getting double team. Now he's seeing that, oh, wait a minute. I got one person on me. Let me go into my, move. Is because Anthony Edwards is out there and his man does not want to cheat off of Ant Edwards to come and help. So what that does is that opens up the middle for Cat, and he's been taking full advantage of that.
Minnesota, they've been holding it down. I seen yesterday they've been the number 1 seed for 58 days straight.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that's crazy. Damn near from the start of the year. Probably like week 3.
That's crazy.
Now, yeah.
That is consistency beyond consistency. They don't falter. They don't flake off. They just been smooth sailing all the way through. So they deserve that number one seed. I honestly see them holding that number one seed down throughout the season. I don't see them
when it comes down to it.
Barring any injuries or anything, I think those boys maintain that number one seed.
OKC's right there, probably about 2 games behind them.
2 games behind. That's
they're right there, though. I think Minnesota will hold that number one.
So let's talk about OKC then. OKC is the number 2 team in the West right now. SGA is playing like a legit superstar. Mm-hmm. When I say a superstar, he's playing as well as any guard in the league over the last few years. A 3-level scorer. He doesn't really have any flaw. He don't have any flaws in his offensive game. There's nothing offensively that I don't see that he can do. He can score the basket. He can drive. He can hit the mid-range shot. He can knock down the 3. He can play off the ball. Okay. And he's a good free throw shooter. Where is his weakness on offense? I don't see any weakness in his offensive game. Not to mention, he's not a bad defender either. I mean, he doesn't just take plays off on defense. He gets in you and he takes on the challenge of trying to defend. Now, I know usually, is it Dort? Lucas Dort, who's he's their primary wing defender.
Want to guard the best player on the other team.
Yeah, he generally does. But SGA doesn't shy when he gets caught on a switch. When they catch him on a switch on somebody, I see him get down into his stance and play some defense. And that's hard to expect out of somebody who plays at such a high level on offense. Because like I was saying, I don't see any weakness in his offensive game, and he's a 3-level scorer.
Not at all. Shea has a bag.
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous that he has such a bag and he doesn't get the notoriety that he should. But he got those boys right now in the number 2 seed in the West, and that says a whole lot considering how loaded the Western Conference is. So y'all lay around for SGA and y'all watch how those boys kind of progress through the season. Mm-hmm. The number 3 team right now in the Western Conference is the defending champion Denver Nuggets, with Joker and Jamal both playing at high levels this year. Both of those guys are getting it in. I always said about the Denver Nuggets that we always know what Joker's going to give you and what he's going to get. And their role players are as good as any role players across the board in the league. But when Jamal Murray is in his bag, when Jamal is playing the way he plays, Denver is a very hard team to beat. He's like the barometer because, again, with Joker doing everything that he does, he's basically a point center, leads the team in assists, leads the team in rebounds,
he's crazy.
And easily lead in scoring. Anything that you get from Jamal Murray is like a bonus. So when Jamal is scoring in like the 20s and he's giving you like 8 assists, 7 assists, those boys are hard to beat. Like, I don't know a team that can beat Denver when Jamal is clicking and Joker is clicking together. That's a hard team to stop.
I agree.
Yeah. So with Denver Nuggets being the number,
you will probably be in the fold when it comes down to the Western Conference Finals and trying to get to the finals. They'll be right there, top 3.
I definitely see them maintaining the top 3 status. Just me watching them play, those boys are definitely on a mission to try to repeat again this year. So I see them staying as a top 3 team, and I don't see them falling off much at all. Going to the number 4 team, the number 4 team right now is the LA Clippers in the West. Now, this is the first time we get to see a full team, the full LA Clippers team, for a good stretch of time. Sometime we would see Kawhi in there, but we wouldn't see Paul George. Or we would see Paul George, but we wouldn't see Kawhi. Mm-hmm. Or, Russell Westbrook is in there, but James Harden isn't. Now we've got all of them boys together, and they have been playing fairly well. I like their defense. I like their offense. They have the whole formula and every key piece that a team would need to get into the finals. Now, how far they'll get in the playoffs, that leads to be kind of determined for once we get there. But I definitely at least see them staying as a top 4, top 5 team in the West if all those boys play together and stay healthy. How you feel about the Clippers?
I feel like the Clippers they could go to the finals. They're probably top 3-14 right now. I'm still not counting on my Warriors, but other than that, Denver, the Clippers are the teams to beat.
I like that. I like the Clippers too. I mean, the sky is the limit for them. Like they have the talent to go to the finals. They also have they have a likelihood that they could bottom out due to injury, I mean, or whatever, knock on wood. But they definitely have the talent. You can't have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden all on the same team, and you just don't have a chance. As long as all those boys are on the roster, they will always have a chance to make it to the finals. So we got to look out for the Clippers. I like the Clippers, actually. I love watching them play. They're a very exciting, entertaining team to watch, so I like them. I would love to see them get far into the postseason. The number 5 team in the Western Conference right now is the New Orleans Pelicans. Zion and Brandon Ingram together. What's crazy? They both average the same thing. Zion averages 22-6. Brandon Ingram averages 22-6. My thing with the Pelicans is Zion is gonna have to. I think for the Pelicans to get to that next level, Zion is gonna have to increase his scoring average by at least 4 points. He should be averaging over 25 a game. He should be at 26 or 27-6. If he's around that amount of scoring, then I could see them making noise. But as long as he's doing this 20 points, 22 points in the low 20s, I think that's going to be a hurdle that they have to overcome. Zion is going to have to step up his offensive scoring game and not just wait until someone calls him out. Because when you call him out, he plays well. But when he's just not called out, he just plays like average.
The thing for me with the Pelicans is their lack of consistency during the season. Yeah. Like they'll win 2 or 3, then they'll lose 3 or 4, then Zion won't play. And I feel like they kind of don't know who the star is, and they're not kind of building or playing around that star. Zion should be the number 1 option, but some days it look like it's Ingram. And then when it's not Ingram, it's Zion. And then if it's not Zion, it's CJ. And CJ just is the point guard, but he's just a name now. So they got to find that balance.
That true pecking order of who's the number 1 option, who's the number 2.
We go through you get us 30, you play well, then everybody else will feed off that.
I agree with you. I'm 100% on with you with that one. If Zion Williamson has to solidify his position as the number 1 option. He has the ability to do it. But like you said, sometimes Brandon Ingram is the guy, sometimes it's Zion, and sometimes it's CJ McCollum. They need to come up with a consistent pecking order. And I think the best scenario for them is Zion is the number 1 option, Brandon Ingram is the number 2 option, and then CJ is your spot up guy who can knock down shots and get to the free throw line and make the big free throws. So, I'm with you on that one. New Orleans definitely needs more consistency, but right now they're holding down that 5 spot in the West. The number,
I think they could drop maybe 1.
I could see them dropping. I could definitely see. They've done it before. They've had a good seed and then fell out before. So I could see that happening this year as well. The number 6 seed in the West right now is the Dallas Mavericks.
I can see Dallas. They play some defense or at least get timely stops with that duo of Kyrie and Luka.
Could you see them moving up?
Yeah, for sure.
I could see them
easily are getting. They could get 40 apiece in one game, and they already have. So, it's nothing that they can't do.
I agree with you. My thing with Dallas, and you just touched on it and hit that, like they're both scoring, 40 apiece in the same game. I need to see more of that. Figuring out how to get Kyrie and Luka to both play at maximum abilities in the same game. Because I've seen some games like the last game that they just lost where Luka went off, but Kyrie only finished with like 12 points. So I know there's sometimes Kyrie looks like he don't want to step on Luka's toes. Mm-hmm. Like, he'll get the ball on the ISO and then he starts dancing and going into his rhythm. But then he sees Luka and then he just kicks it off to Luka. Like, no, Kyrie, no. You take this dude, whoever's in front of you, you take him to dancing school.
Yeah, they got to find that balance. That's all. Where they know, like, okay, I'm hot right now. Let me play through you. Okay, I see you going. Let me get you the ball. Like, the balance has to be there between both of them, and they can find it.
I think eventually, once they do find that, like you said, I could see them moving up, but they definitely need to get that together. But right now, they're holding down the 6th and final guaranteed playoff spot in the Western Conference. So shout out Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban, everybody in the D-Town, everybody out there. Y'all been waiting a while for the Mavericks to get back to the finals. It's been a while since the Dirk Nowitzki days, so we'll see how this turns out as the season progresses. For the play-in teams right now in the West, we got Phoenix, Sacramento, and the Lakers. Out of those 3 teams, who do you see being the one team out of those 3 that gets in from the play-in out of those 3?
Phoenix.
I like Phoenix too. If Phoenix don't, with all that talent that they have on that team, if Phoenix don't get in from the play, or if they don't even move up, I expect Phoenix to move up and possibly knock out New Orleans. But Phoenix needs to move up out of that position. You don't have Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal on your team, and you're fighting for a play-in. Like that just don't even sound right. That's an underachievement, and they need to blow that whole team up if those boys don't.
Their thing too, as well, is defense and consistency of defense.
That's important. The defense, just like the Milwaukee Bucks, the Phoenix Suns have an excellent offense. They just need a good defensive wing stopper or somebody who can get you stops. That's all they need. But right now they have everything on offense. They just need to get it all put together. So I'm with you on that. I see Phoenix being the best of those play-in teams that are locked into a play-in position right now. I see Phoenix as the best out of that whole little group. So we'll see. The Lakers, I don't know, man. Lakers, y'all need to get it together. Y'all really do. This might be LeBron's last year with y'all. Anthony Davis, I don't know. He shows up one day, the next day he don't. Like, I don't know. The Lakers, y'all need to get it together. Y'all ain't even playing good enough for us to even talk about y'all right now. So that's all I'm going to even say about y'all Lakers. Until y'all win some more games and get out of that playing position, we're not even going to talk about y'all on the show. So, yeah, y'all take that and hold that L, too, while y'all want to be messaging me about, oh, you hating on the Lakers. Y'all ain't got nothing to talk about. What is it to talk about? The only thing we could talk about with the Lakers is LeBron's son stinking it up at USC and him watching the game while he's being interviewed. So I don't want to talk about y'all. Anyway,
I see that.
You saw that, right? He watching the game while he's being interviewed. That's crazy. That just goes to show you that his mind is not even with the Lakers no more. He's already mentally moved. He want to go watch his son play. He don't want. Man, y'all Laker fans, y'all leave me alone, man. Stay out my inbox, man. Like, for real. Anyway, one other thing that I wanted to address here while we're on the subject of sports, a subject of basketball, my man, Udonis Haslem, salute to the Miami Heat general, UD, just had his jersey retired in Miami. That caused a lot of controversy among a lot of fans and some former players that was saying that UD getting that jersey retired was not earned, that it was given to him. Namely, Paul Pierce. Y'all, Paul, look, I don't even rock with the Celtics.
What you got to say about it?
I got a whole lot to say about it. Paul, first of all, Paul Pierce, we know why you don't like us. All right, we sent y'all packing a couple of times. More than once. We sent y'all packing and we sent y'all up out of the playoffs, and you still kind of salty about that. So I get that. I understand that, Mr. Truth. But let me drop some knowledge on y'all, boys. For those of y'all who don't know, who all you know about Udonis Haslem is the last couple of years and him sitting on the bench, clapping up the team and not getting much playing time. Let me tell y'all something about Udonis Haslem. UD is one of the most successful. He's had one of the most successful careers ever at every level of competition, from high school to the NBA. What UD means to Miami and the state of Florida may be unparalleled by any other player. First of all, let's start it in high school. High school, Udonis Haslem went to Miami Senior High School and won back-to-back state championships in 97 and 98. From there, he went to the University of Florida, where he averaged a double-double and made the NCAA tournament every year that he was at Florida. All right. So that includes the 2000 season when he took Florida to the finals. They did lose to the Michigan State. That was the Spartans. But Michigan State, shout out to y'all boys. They had Mateen Cleaves, Jason Richardson was on that team, Mo Peterson was on that team. So it was a loaded team. But
was he like the star player built around him? Udonis Haslem?
He averaged a double-double. He wasn't the star player, but he averaged a double-double. He was the anchor. Put it like that. He was the anchor. He led the team in rebounds, and then he was the second leading scorer on the team. So that says a lot. Good enough for, in 2003, for him to be signed by the Miami Heat, and then goes on to be a part of 3 championship teams with the Miami Heat. So again, running that back, high school, college, and NBA, he's winning at every level. He's the only player that I can think of, and I don't think you can or nobody else can think of, that has played all 3 levels of basketball in the same state and had that level of success at every single level that he's played in. He's never left the state of Florida his whole life. High school in Miami, college at Florida, signed to the Miami Heat. He was undrafted but got signed to the Miami Heat. All right. He was the goon of the Heat championship teams. He was the enforcer. He was the hard foul giver, the locker room motivator. Mm-hmm. You ask any of the Heat all-time greats. You ask Alonzo. You ask Shaq. You ask LeBron. You ask D. Wade, etc. All of them in interviews that you could all look up have all said that Udonis Haslem was the heartbeat of all of those teams. Okay, so I get the hate from that era. I get Paul Pierce, hating on UD, because like KG said, nowadays in this current generation, in your generation, Dave, in your generation, you got Tatum hugging Giannis after the game. You got Embiid and Joker hugging up each other. You got Trae Young and Dame hugging. You got all that. In my era, you would never, ever, ever see Dwayne Wade dap it up with Paul Pierce, or who else? Kevin Garnett dap it up with,
for sure, not Garnett.
Nowitzki. You ain't seen none of that in my era. So I can get it. I understand where the hate coming from, but for anybody who says that UD does not deserve his jersey to be hung up, stop it. Stop it. What he means to the 305 and what he means to Miami is what he means to us. We decided to retire his jersey. We put his jersey up because we know what he means to us. He was an intricate part of each and every one of those early championships, and he's the locker room voice. Every team needs that. So salute to UD for having your jersey retired. You deserve that. And that's all I got on that.
See a round of applause for Udonis Haslem.
Shout out to UD. Shout out to UD. Big ups to UD. All right. Now, moving along, we getting close to the end of the show, so we're going to get to our history moment of the day. This day in 1988, the defending champion Mike Tyson beat Larry Holmes by a TKO in the 4th round to retain his heavyweight championship.
Put that boy down.
As I told you, Mike Tyson was only 21 years old, and Larry Holmes was 38. His old ass ain't even need to be in that ring with Mike.
So
Larry Holmes hadn't fought in 2 years before that fight. And after Mike beat him, he took like another 3 years off before he even came back to try to fight. So salute to Mike Tyson and his epic championship run. Legendary fighter. I know a lot of y'all already know about Mike, but if you don't know, you need to know. Look up Mike and see what kind of damage he was putting in during his prime and his era.
Mike Tyson, I will put Mike Tyson around top 10 fighters of all time.
Definitely.
I think that's reasonable.
I'm putting him in top 10. I'm definitely putting him in the top 10, especially from fighters that I had the opportunity to see personally. He's definitely a top 10 fighter. I know towards the end of his career, things kind of went a little bit left, but you name a fighter who doesn't show that kind of sign of being human towards the end of their career. All fighters go through that, but in his prime, I'm talking about prime Mike Tyson, definitely top 10, arguably lower than that, but we're going to keep it at top 10. So salute to Mike and the history moment of the day.
Yes, sir.
2-minute drill, wrapping it up for the day. The Lakers are eyeing DeJounte Murray in a trade. There's some rumors going around that the Lakers trying to move some things around and get DeJounte Murray. That's all y'all getting from me, Laker fans. That's all I'm about to say about that. The Miami Heat are trying to put Kyle Lowry on the trading block. We're openly trying to trade Kyle Lowry. Anybody want to take him? Please do. Holler at Pat Riley. Y'all, please, somebody, y'all take this boy off our hands so we can actually get better and try to get something in return for him. Bill Belichick has interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons not once but twice. He had 2 interviews.
That might be a stamp. I think next year we will see Bill Belichick coaching for the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm with you on that. You don't get 2 interviews unless it's pretty much in the bag. And he got 2 interviews with them. That might be in the bag. They might just be waiting for, the Super Bowl to announce it or maybe after the season. But I think the Falcons have found their guy in Bill Belichick. Bronny James of the USC basketball Trojans, the son of LeBron James, has not been playing too well since he started his college campaign. His USC Trojans also haven't been playing well.
It's early for Bronny. It's only his first year. Second year, I can see him going to the league. At least junior year, he'll be more polished and ready.
Definitely. He's still young. He's still early in his college campaign, so I could see him progressing and getting better as the years come. Maybe his second or third year, I could see that too. Dwayne Wade is getting a trophy outside of the Miami Heat's arena. Deserving? You think he deserves that?
Yes, sir.
Definitely. Wade, arguably the best player in the Miami Heat franchise history. It's a long time coming. He deserves that trophy. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really happy for D Wade. His loyalty. He is Heat Nation. He is Heat culture. So he definitely deserves the trophy. So that's all we got for y'all. That is our 2-minute drill. That is our show for the day. Salute, and we appreciate everybody out there who's been tuning in, everybody who's been sending me messages, asking where Time Zone Dave is. Here he is. Y'all see my man.
We back in action.
Back in action, back in effect. Y'all lay around for it. We're going to see y'all next week when we have the recap of all of the games that went down. And then we'll also talk a little bit about possible NBA All-Star selections. So y'all look forward. Y'all stay tuned. Continue to like, share, subscribe, all of that.
Like button.
Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe. Yours truly, brother, I know him say, my man Time Zone Dave. This is the Sports Time Zone Podcast, the only podcast that you get 2 generations input and opinions on sports topics. So this is what we do, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Yes, sir.